But no, you know, I'm jealous because I've been trying to get like West Country sitcoms and comedy dramas off the ground for years and years, and now you come along and Jade Adams has done a West Country sitcom as well. So
I think it's not about where it's set. I think it's the idea, Rich.
But it is. They won't. If I went in now with my, I wanted. But it's sort of simple. I wanted to do a comedy drama about Roland Pavey, who's a guy in the 19th century who brought his own. Someone's brought their own guitar to heckle
someone
with.
having a guitar lesson while I'm speaking.
Yeah.
How very rude.
But it's sort of a similar thing because he believed we all have wings that were invisible wings that when we're so he was sort of spiritualist. He used water divining, and he tried to find a cave in Cheddar Caves when all the caves were being discovered by blowing a hole to try and find a new cave. And in the end, he just blew a big enough hole to open as a cave. so there was just a cavern that he'd made with explosives.
That is a good story.
It's a really good story. So that sort of it's sort of in a similar thing to this.
But is he a white middle-aged man?
Yeah.
That's why it's not.
Yeah, that's why it's not. You can't do that anymore, can you? Now it's all got to be girls doing it now, isn't it? That's it. That's how it is now. It's flipped around. That's the thing now.
They've got to be either dead or menopausal. And then, I don't know. I think it is extraordinary because when we were sort of developing it and talking to Channel 4 and everybody, we were like, who is Linda like? Like, what's the closest story to this? And we were really trying to think. And we were like, God, we can't think of... And the only character that we could think of was Shirley Valentine, which was 1986 or something like that, and she was 42, and she wasn't even menopausal.
Yeah.
And it was like, there must be. And if you look at women sort of middle-aged or older than 50, there's no symptoms, like it's completely invisible from their stories. And I'm not saying that we have to see loads of menopausal women all the time, but one in fucking 30 years. That's not too many, is it?
It's not too many. No, so
or just having some symptoms. There was, is it House of Cards with Kevin Spacey, isn't it? And Robin Wright.
I haven't seen it.
No, there's one scene in like 3 series where she opens a fridge and goes like that, and I'm like, oh, and then a woman walks into the kitchen, and I was like, oh, they're gonna have like, and then that was it. Like the writers and the director was like, you can open a fridge, you got to shut it really quickly, and you can't fucking talk about it. But I just think, it's kind of crazy that there's not more than one.
Yeah, it is. Well,
like you say, it's not Linda happens to be menopausal, and she's the female protagonist of the story, but it's not. I wouldn't say that it was a show about the menopause. No, and that's where we need to get to. We need to get to a point where there are women who are older than 30 who do stuff, like who are. I honestly. I love all people, and there are some brilliant young people, like fantastic, but there are such great women, like my age and not, who are the top of their games. They're like the most confident and wisest they've ever been. They've got life experience. Where are we? Like, why don't we see us doing our stuff? Why are we grannies? Or why are we grannies?
Yeah.
Or like sad? Or like mums? Or why can't we just be like humans having adventures and doing stuff? Yeah. And a really interesting thing was like, I wanted Linda to get away from the house so that she was interacting as like a human being. Like she had children and a husband, and that's great. But she had kind of, because she worked in a supermarket, she'd kind of lost who she was, and she never got that question, at her own 50th birthday party. And I see this at the family occasions where older women don't get the question. Like, there's a group of you, and how is school? Kids get asked, how is school? Like, men get asked, how is work? And then I've seen this, and it breaks my heart, right? Older women don't get that question, and I want older women to get that question. Like, assume that she's doing something. Ask her how she is. What is she working on? What is she doing? Like, how is she? And I want to see that. You're it's not funny.
No,
but
it doesn't have to be funny.
and
I'm smiling because it's good. It's great, but it needs somebody to go. And I think it's partly because the business, this business has been so focused on men for sure, but then equally, in the last 10 years, it's shifted a little bit.
Mainly because of me.
Yeah, mainly, but
that was a joke. Nobody laughed.
It shifted a little bit.
That was such a joke. Yeah, cut that bit out. It
but
there's not.
there aren't that many people who've been through the 10 years to get, like you say, it's taken you that time to get to where you're at. You need to be in the business first of all to get to the point where you can write this
and
thing.
Not give up.
Yeah, of course. And so it's very easy to give up. It's very easy for anyone to give up.
Yeah.
But I absolutely 100% agree with you. It's insane that you can't think of another example since Shirley Valentine of anything, and it's not like Shirley Valentine.
No, but that is brilliant. But that
it
was
is
brilliant.
Great.
That was genius. That film. Yeah. And
but then I suppose Jerome Flynn's Alfred Molina, if it.
Jerome, oh my God, this is such an interesting because the cast is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't know this. Okay, and I've told him this, so it doesn't matter. I saw Jerome Flynn in John Wick 3 getting his testicles bitten off by a dog.
Okay.
And I thought I thought he did. No, it's in the film. I didn't.
I know, but you don't have to bring it up.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's all right. It's okay.
But, and he did it in such a funny way.
That's where, people, when was the last drama about a man with one testicle and his troubles with that?
Well...
It's just a comedy thing to John Wick, isn't it? That a man gets his balls bitten off.
Well, I mean, I think they may have, it kills him, but I think they might be intact. I don't know. I didn't.
Okay, well, I'll ask him during series 2 to give me a ring.
Yeah.
I'll talk it through with him.
But,
yeah.
So, and I thought, and then I saw him in John Wick, and I was like, oh, that's that guy, and he's really good, and he's really good in stuff, because I haven't seen Game of Thrones.
Right, okay.
But I thought, there's something about him that is really unique and different and special, right? That there's a depth to him as an actor and whatever. So I thought, I've got this character, Pigman, and he's this sad character who has this tragic backstory, and he lives in the woods on his own and all of this, and I think he'd be really good at it, and he's called Pigman, and that's because of all these things. So a really amazing thing happened with the show, which is that I had my top list of actors, and then I thought we would just start making our way down the list, so I'd end up with, maybe...
Me. I'm just happy to make the list. I'm happy to be right at the bottom of the list.
So Jerome Flynn was here, and then you were not that far down, actually.
Good. That's nice.
And then, but then we didn't have to. That's why you didn't get the call.
Yeah.
And then, so would you be this character, Pigman? Then we couldn't get hold of him because he was off grid. Like he lives, this. Anyway, people said you won't get him. Doesn't do many things. And I said, well, can we just ask anyway? So they asked, and he was like, oh, he's interested because of the thing, but he's slightly worried about the character's name, which is Pigman and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, fucking, it's a bit fussy, Anyway, so then I wrote him an email and said, oh, this is why he's called Pigman, this is his backstory, blah, blah, blah. And then he said, yes, he'd do it. Then I looked him up, and he made a film about pig farming, called Hogwood, a modern horror story. Right. And he'd done all this activism about pigs that I'd not known about. And we had this, pig skin that we were going to get him to... Well, we weren't, and I think it was roadkill anyway,
right.
The pig skin. It wasn't, killed for the show or anything like that. Okay. And then... that was a coincidence that I'd asked him to be Pigman, not knowing that he'd done all this work for pigs. Then the character...
But he was pro the pigs, right? He wasn't anti.
He loves pigs so much. Then the character had given up his quite affluent life. He was like a city banker and he was really rich and everything. But the only thing that he kept from his old life was a milk frother. I don't know if you've seen, but he's got his milk frother in his cave that he froths up. And the first time I spoke to Jerome, he said, oh, you won't know this, but where I live in Wales, I'm known as the frothy coffee guy.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I obviously didn't know that. And he was like, no, but it's weird because of the pigs and the frothy milk. So...
Did you ever go at him about chocolate buttons and the milk? Did you say, I hope that milk's...
He doesn't eat dairy chocolate.
Good, that's good. I was presenting Top of the Pops when Robson and Jerome were number 1.
Really?
Yeah.
So did you meet up?
I wouldn't say we met up, but he was...
You introduced him?
I introduced him. My memory was they sang the song and there was a lot of teenage girls there screaming. It was one of the most horrible things I've ever experienced in my life. They smelt really bad.
Who smelt bad?
The girls. It was this horrible smell of...
What do you mean they smelt bad?
There were all these overexcited girls, sweaty, and they smelled...
This is the worst person that you could say lots of girls smelt horrible.
No, they're just because they were sweating.
What do you mean?
They were all sweating and overexcited, and I just would like to say that any of those Top of the Pops presenters that managed to find that sexually attractive, hats off to them for that, because that was... a difficult...
Okay, let's stop. Stop. There's lots of things that are wrong with this. The first thing is horrible, sweaty teenagers.
Hats off to Jimmy Savile is what I'm
saying.
Because how he managed, it was disgusting.
Well, none of this is going to make it in now, is it? So there's no point in me calling you out on all the terrible points. Like, who is finding them sexually... You've just pretty much said that Robson and Jerome... Like, who...
What I was going to say about Robson and Jerome, edit point. All these girls went crazy for Robson and they didn't... Whenever Robson sang, they went, ah!
Who was
and
Robson?
Whenever... The other guy. Robson and Jerome.
Is that his first name?
Robson Green.
Yes.
They went nuts, Robson Green, and Jerome nothing. And there was a break in recording and I went, why aren't you screaming for this guy? So I'd ask him if he remembers me trying to stick... Go, what's wrong with him? He's got a bit of a funny nose. He's all right.
So they're screaming at Robson.
They loved Robson. They didn't like Jerome.
I think you're interpreting the silence completely.
You think so?
Maybe they were listening.
Shocked or... Yeah, they were upset.
Maybe they were trying to drown out Robson.
Yeah, maybe.
And listen to...
It was poor. It was a poor...
Was it
song.
live?
Yeah, were they singing live? I think they probably were.
Were you speaking live?
I definitely was. I was not miming myself. I was definitely speaking live. I think they probably did sing, but it was Unchained Melody. It's a really difficult
I don't
song.
remember that era.
Oh, let's do it together. Oh, my love, my darling.
This is a fucking nightmare.
I hunger for you. It's actually quite easy, isn't it? I'm doing well. I'm doing a good job. Give him a ring, see if he'll come and do it with me.
Both of them.
Rich and Jerome.
Who's Rich? Oh,
I'm
you.
Rich.
Oh, yeah.
Rich and Jerome.